in the year 1798. The Alter Rebbe was slandered and taken prisoner in Zaris prison, and he was there for 53 days. While he was in the prison, he was visited by his teacher, the Maggid of Mezrich, together with his teacher, the Baal Shem Tov, who came from the other world. They came down to this world in a physical body, and they came into the prison cell of the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe said to them, "Why am I here?" And they said to him, "Because of the fact that you reveal these secrets of the Torah to the world, and the world is not yet ready for it. Because of this, there was a kitrug, a decree in heaven that you would have to go into prison." He then asked the Baal Shem Tov and the Maggid, "If that is the case, should I stop teaching these secrets?" And they said to him, on the contrary, "Now that you broke through the floodgates, you should continue to teach it evermore." So this is the story that happened in the year 1798. However, the question comes to mind, many years earlier, prior to 1772, there was another story. And that story happened when the Alter Rebbe, Reb Shea Zalman of Liadi, was a student in the school of the Maggid of Mezrich. And at that time, a blettel, which means a page of Chassidus, fell on the floor. And there was a big kitrug, a big decree in heaven that how is it possible that this holy teaching should be on the floor? And so it was decided that no longer should they have the ability to teach these teachings to the world. At that time, the Alter Rebbe, who was a student in the school of the Maggid, came and answered the heavenly court, and he said that I have a mashal, I have a parable. What is the parable? There's a king that has a prince, a son who's very sick, and all the doctors in the world cannot find a remedy for him. Finally, one specialist came along and said, I have the answer. I have the antidote. And that is, there is a diamond, a priceless stone in the crown of the king. If we can take that major diamond and take that stone and liquidize it and make it into a potion, we can give the prince to drink from that potion, and if one drop even gets into his mouth, we can save the life of the prince. In heaven, they accepted this mashal, they accepted this argument, and they said, fine, you can continue to teach Chassidus. Comes the question to mind, if already this argument was presented to the heavenly court almost 30 years earlier, why is it that now, again, there was another kitrug, another decree in heaven against the teaching of Chassidus? Furthermore, the Gemara tells us in the tractate of Chagiga that words that are hidden, the secrets of the Torah, must be kept under your garment. In other words, we're not supposed to reveal the secrets of the Torah. Yet, we find that the famous Arizal, Rabbi Isaac Luria, the great Kabbalist, came along and he said, mitzvah legaloi zois hachachma. In his generation, he said, now it's a mitzvah to reveal these secrets of the Torah. Which means that essentially these teachings are holy. Essentially these teachings are kosher. It's just that the people, which we call the gavra, the individual, or the nivra, is not yet capable of internalizing such knowledge. But the chefza, which means the teaching itself, the knowledge itself, is holy of holies. As the Rambam says, when Mashiach will come, what will be the preoccupation of the entire world? Says the Rambam, Lo yi'esek kol olam ela ledas Hashem b'lvad, that the preoccupation of the entire world will be to know God. In other words, when Mashiach will come, when it comes to halacha, what to do is going to be very easy, because even a tree will call out on Shabbos and say, don't touch me at Shabbos. You can't pull an apple off the tree. So you won't need to discuss and learn so much of the details of the halacha. the world itself will be in that state of perfection. However, the main preoccupation that will take place after the coming of Mashiach will be to study the secrets of the Torah, mysticism, Kabbalah, Chassidus, etc., etc. So if that is the case, why then now do we have the obligation to study these secrets of the Torah? Yet before, in the early generations, not only was there no obligation, but perhaps even prohibited. So this answer is found in the Rambam's Moed Nevuchim. The Rambam, in his Guide for the Perplexed, says like this: that being that the world now is perplexed, Nevuchim, therefore, Eis Lasos LaHashem Hefedu Teidesecha. It's a mitzvah to do for the sake of God, and therefore to embarrass your Torah. In other words, even though these secrets were supposed to be kept under the garment, they were supposed to be kept secret, only to pass on from the elite of one generation to the next. Now, however, says the Rambam, that the world is going deeper and deeper into darkness. We need a greater and greater light to give us direction. So now there's an obligation to reveal these secrets of the Torah. That is one reason why in the later generations the teachings of Kabbalah and Chassidus have become popular and available for all and accessible. Number two, however, the study of Kabbalah and Chassidus is not only to bring a greater light into the darkness, to give us direction and give us clarity in this confused world, but also it's what we call a hachana. It's also for an introduction and a preparation for the geula, for the redemption and the coming of Mashiach. In other words, being that when Mashiach comes, says the Rambam, that the whole world will be discussing the secrets of God, and that will be the preoccupation of all humanity, Jews and non-Jews as well. So therefore now already to prepare for the coming of Mashiach, we begin to study these secrets of the Torah. However, there's a difference in what we have to learn. As a Moed Nevuchim, as a light for darkness, it's enough that we learn a little bit. We get a little bit of a taste, a little pill here and there. But to prepare ourselves for the geula, for the ultimate redemption, for this, we need an elaborate, detailed discussion. And this is really what the Alter Rebbe was asking the Baal Shem Tov and the Maggid when they came to him in the prison. He said, look, we already had this discussion many years ago, whether or not to teach Chassidus. Why again now? So the answer is, at the time of the Maggid, when the Alter Rebbe came along with the example, the mashal of the king that had a son that was sick, and he said even one drop enters into the king's child, into the prince, this will save the prince. This was to introduce the secrets of the Torah as a light, to be Moed Nevuchim, to be a light for those who are perplexed. And therefore it was enough that even a drop gets in, a little bit of vort here, a story here, a thought here, would be enough to give the generation inspiration to move on. But as we get closer to the coming of Mashiach, now it's not enough that we have a little bit of a drop. Now already we need to have an elaborate teaching. And therefore, they told him, since already you broke through the floodgates, and you began to teach Chassidus in a very expansive way, you have to continue to do this more and more. And this is also the difference, for example, between Gemara and Mishnah. The Mishnah is concise halacha, but then the Gemara can take one Mishnah and go on to 8 pages. The same is true. There are 2 levels of Chassidus. There's the level of Chassidus, which is a concept, a detail, which is primarily the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov and the Maggid of Mezritch. And then came along the Alter Rebbe and introduced Chassidus Chabad, which means Chachma Bina Das, to elaborate on these concepts in great length. This idea also answers another question. And that is, it says, Chayiv Adam L'Shalish Lemudui. A person should divide his learning of Torah into 3 parts. One part should be Torah Shebeksav, Mikra, the Bible. Another part should be Mishnah. And a third part should be Talmud, the study of Talmud. So therefore, every day you divide your study into 3 parts. The question is, what is the study of Kabbalah? Does it go into the category of Talmud? Does it go into the category of Gemara? Or does it go into the category of Mikra? Or does it go into the category of learning Chumash? So we find that Alter Rebbe himself in 2 places says 2 different things. In one place he says Kabbalah is called Talmud. In another place he says that from the Zohar The study of Kabbalah is like learning Chumash, the Bible. What is it? But the answer is it's not a contradiction. It depends how you're learning it. If you're learning it simply to have a little bit, a dose here and there, a taste here and there, a pill here and there, then it's compared to Mikra, it's compared to the Bible, a Bible story. But if you take Chassidus and you elaborate in great detail, then it has the effect of Talmud, with tremendous depth and tremendous elaboration and tremendous clarity. And in truth, it all depends now why you're learning. If we're learning it simply to be a light in darkness, it's enough a little. But if we are studying Torah to prepare ourselves for the ultimate redemption, when the Kamayim Liyom Bechasin, that the entire world will be filled like the waters of the ocean that cover the seabed, and the entire world will be permeated with godliness wherever we look, wherever we see, whatever we taste, whatever we do, will be totally godliness. So now we have to immerse ourselves in these teachings the same way to learn a Beshufi in tremendous length. This idea is also introduced through a mashal, a parable from the previous Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak. And he says like this. He says on the ocean floor there are pearls. However, to get those pearls, you have to go down to the ocean. Now, you can't simply go down into the ocean because you're going to die. There's no air. So you have to have some sort of a pipe connecting you to above the ocean, which allows you to breathe even though you're very down low in the ocean. Once you have this connection above to the air, to the oxygen, then you're able to go down very low and retrieve these pearls. That's one thing. In the same parable, he went on to say that this concept is also true by gecholim. Gecholim are coals. To acquire coals, you have to go down into a coal mine. You have to dig very deep. What's the advantage of coals? A coal provides two things. It provides, number one, warmth, and number two, it provides light. That's the advantage of coals. But where do you dig for the coals? So here, to know where to dig for the coal, you have to have a COO, you have a chief operating officer. He says you dig over here and not over here. This is where the coals are found. And you have a foreman. You have to trust the foreman, that he knows what he's talking about, and you follow and you go down there and you find those coals, and this brings light and warmth to people. However, even though you trust the foreman and you trust the COO, he cannot breathe for you. You still need your own oxygen line. You still need to be able to breathe yourself, to be able to fulfill your mission and acquiring that coal. Our Rebbe explains the mashal as follows. Today, we need gecholim. Today, we need coals. Why? Coals represent the teachings of Chassidus. What does Chassidus accomplish that we didn't have before? Chassidus brings warmth to Yiddishkeit, to Judaism, that a mitzvah is not simply done robotically because I have to, but a mitzvah is done with tremendous warmkeit, warmth, and excitement. And also, through the study of Chassidus, we have light. Light gives us the ability to see right from wrong. We're living in a very, very confused world, a very, very crazy world, crazy times, and we're not sure what is right, what is wrong. By the fact that we study Chassidus, this gives us the light that we have the ability to make the right decision over right and wrong. For this, we have a COO. For this, we have a foreman. We have a Rebbe. What does that mean? That even though there are 613 commandments in the Torah, but every generation has its unique challenge. And every generation has its unique mitzvah that we need to put all our koiches, our strength, into performing that mitzvah. In this generation, primarily, it's about tzedakah, charity. In this generation, primarily, it's about tefillah, prayer. In this generation, it's primarily the study of Chassidus. And also the 7 Noahide laws to prepare ourselves and the entire world to receive the coming of Mashiach that is about to come. So that is the importance in general of Chassidus. But then there's also the pearls. What are the pearls? The pearls are basically when you put on nice jewelry, you have pearls. The difference between gecholim, which is coals, and pearls, is that to have light in a dark world, it's enough to learn a little Chassidus, here and there. But again, you need to breathe on your own. In other words, each one of us is responsible for ourselves. You can't go to the Rebbe and say, Rebbe, you're the Moses of the generation, I trust in you, I believe in you, you pray for us, you take care of us, I'm going to do my thing, and call me in 20 years. That's not the job of a Rebbe. A Rebbe, a teacher, a parent, a coach, gives directions, they help the students, they help their children, they give direction to the children. But we, as the children of God, we need to make our own decisions. And we need to take responsibility. And we have to be strong in our service to Hashem. We have to breathe on our own. When the baby is in his mother's womb, the mother breathes for the baby. But once the baby comes into the world, the baby needs to breathe on its own. We need to realize that we need to take responsibility. And that is the idea of learning Chassidus every day. And that's the responsibility of davening every day, and giving tzedakah every day, etc., etc. But then you have the concept of pearls. What is pearls? Pearls is to beautify yourself. And through the study of Chassidus, this teaches us how to enhance our life, not only to do what we have to do, to fulfill the minimal obligation, but also to be a rich Jew. In other words, to live Torah in a rich way, in a rich fashion. To do mitzvahs with joy and tremendous understanding and depth and appreciation and love and warmth, etc., etc. One can argue, why do I need pearls for? I'm a simple person. I'm not a rich person. I was born in a poor house. For me, it's enough sardines for dinner. I don't need to have a fancy steak. I don't need fancy, $600 Parada or $900 Parada boots. I can get along with some, old Navy Yard or what do you call it? Old Navy boots. Yeah, I don't need fancy boots. Now you're telling me I need to put on pearls. So the answer is very simple. And that is very, very soon, all of us are going to be walking under the chuppah. We're going to be walking to our wedding. Our wedding, we are getting married to God. God is our groom, and we are our bride. So automatically, if you want and believe or care about it, it makes no difference. The fact is, we are B'nai Melachim. We are all princes and princesses. That's the fact. And we are marrying the king. And the king wants to see the bride beautiful. The king wants to see a beautiful gown and beautiful pearls and beautiful jewelry. He doesn't want to marry some little kid from the little village. He wants to marry a beautiful, glorious, fancy, put-together woman. So we need to put on these pearls because we are now getting ready for the chuppah, for the marriage, the ultimate marriage between God and the Jewish people. And we have to take pearl by pearl. We have to string those pearls every single day. And the more pearls, the more beautiful we're going to look. So this is the reason why in our generation, we were given this great zechus, we were given this great merit, not only to have the secrets of the Torah, of the Kabbalah and Chassidus revealed to us, so that it would be a moed nevuchim, to be a guide for the perplexed, because we're beyond that already. We're walking down the aisle. We're about to walk onto the chuppah. We have to make sure we have the pearls. And so, it's a time to make resolutions, every day to study a little Tanya, and every day to study a little Chassidus, and every day to try to be a bit better and a bit more beautiful, to beautify ourselves, because the Chassin wants to see a beautiful kala. He wants to see a gorgeous kala under the chuppah, and we are the kala. And we are all beautiful. We have to enhance ourselves even more and more. To end with a quick story, there was a photographer, a Chassidic photographer, that wanted to take pictures of the tombs in Ukraine and Russia, to bring back these pictures so Chassidim here in America should be able to see these tombs, and hopefully this would give them an inspiration. When they're down, and you have to go to the oil and to the tomb of a Rebbe, and you can't go there, you look at the picture and you pray to the picture, and you say, hopefully this will be the channel, this will be the funnel to bring my prayers to the right place, and the Rebbe will be my lawyer, the Rebbe will be my supporter, and help me to acquire all my blessings. So this photographer goes to Ukraine, and he goes to different places, and today he was supposed to go to Nezhin to visit the tomb of the Alter Rebbe. Baruch Hashem, he gets into the car, he's traveling to Nezhin, it's a 2-hour trip on a dirt road, and all of a sudden the clouds begin to fill the skies. The sky becomes very gray, it starts to rain and pour, and he's driving and the water is splashing and the mud is going from all sides, and they finally come to Nezhin, to the house where they built over the grave of the Alter Rebbe, and he brings his camera in to take pictures, and as they say in Yiddish, it's geworden schwarz in the Augen. It was black in his eyes. All the electricity in the entire city went off because of the rainstorm. He's standing there, he's trying to take pictures, he's trying to get some light from the door. It doesn't work. He begins to pray. He says, Rebbe, Alter Rebbe, I travel all this way from America to come to Nezhin, to take pictures, to bring back to your children, to give them inspiration, and now it's black over here. I don't know what to do. And he keeps his eye closed and he's praying, Rebbe, help me. All of a sudden, boom, the lights turn back on. The lights turn back on, he starts shooting pictures. 5 minutes later, the lights go back off. And for the next hour, he's praying in the dark, but he has his pictures. He brings it back to New York, and he's able to make them and produce them. We have to know that when it gets dark, we have to pray. We have to know when it gets dark, we have holy tzaddikim, holy rebbes, that are there for us to give us the light. And by connecting to these holy tzaddikim, by connecting to these holy rebbes, we have the ability to have a path in this dark world. And not only that, but to profit, to have beautiful pearls, to have beautiful children and families and grandchildren that go in the ways of God and Torah and mitzvahs. And to prepare ourselves, for this great chasana, this great wedding that we're going to celebrate very, very soon with the bride and groom, with God and the Jewish people, with the coming of Mashiach from Heira B'Meinu. Amen. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you have any question, please write it in the comments.